We use this word culture a lot. Culture matters. Culture influence performance. The famous quote, culture eats strategy for breakfast. But what is culture? The way I define culture is in the how. It's how we treat one another in a culture, in a context. It's how work gets done. Now, the strength of a culture is determined by the clarity of the values and the degree to which those values are behaved. And if you think about this, this can actually go into an equation, what I call the culture equation. So let's take a quick peek at this. Culture, how things get done, the strength of it is determined by the clarity of its values multiplied by the behavior of its people, all raised to the power of influence. So let's unpack this. Values. Values are strong when we understand them, when they're articulated, when we know what they mean in our behavior. I'm a big fan of articulating values as verbs or action phrases. It's far easier to bring a verb or an action phrase to life than it is a noun or an adjective. There are many values that I hear organizations and leaders say our values are respect, communication, integrity, excellence. Do me a favor, more excellence this afternoon, please. That's kind of meaningless. But if we look at excellence as an example, we could say, do more of your best work. Interesting. That should mean amplify your strengths, build awareness around your limitations or weaknesses, be vulnerable with those limitations and weaknesses with your team, and team better. That's actually taking a value of excellence and making it understandable, making it actionable. Those four values, by the way, respect, communication, integrity, and excellence, were Enron's four values, the famous accounting scandal company, Enron. So culture equals values multiplied by behavior. If our values are clear and defined, excellent. If they're not, good luck. You're more likely to have chaos, or the one with the most influence prevails in determining that culture. But the strength of a culture is the degree to which those values are clear, identified, understood, and behaved. This is the reason we have multiplication in the equation. If you have clear, defined values, excellent. If they're multiplied by folks behaving aligned with those values, excellent, strong culture. But if your values aren't clear or aren't defined, that lowers that number. If you go into the behavior, if the values aren't behaved, that lowers the strength. It creates a weaker culture. And worse, if there's a gap between what you say your values are and the way that you behave, especially those with more influence, the weaker a culture can be. If you say these are our values and you actually behave negative, you behave counter to them, anything multiplied by a negative is a negative. You can actually have a toxic, deleterious culture if you live counter to the values that you espouse. The last piece is all of that is raised to the power of influence. And the reason is we're still a hierarchical species, and folks inside of a culture have more influence than others, whether it's by their authority, their title, or perhaps they behave as a leader, excellent, or they were handpicked by a senior leader. When it comes to behavior, I'm a big believer in not just capital L leadership by title or authority, but lowercase l leadership. Those folks who take it upon themselves to live those values and to behave as a leader does. And when you have influence in an organization, your whisper is a shout and your tiptoes are stomps. Your individual values, your behavior is amplified because you have more influence. So that is the culture equation. That's how we can unpack culture. And I hope explaining these components and these pieces helps you be more aware and helps you behave and lead in a way that can make the culture around you stronger, healthier, and thriving. Thanks.